make no friends in the pits and you take no prisoners. 1 minute you're up 500,000 in soybeans, and the next, boom.
Do not attempt to adjust your device.
The revolution starts now.
We have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
Turn those machines back on!
You are about to enter the halls of justice.
Show me the money!
If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
This is the halls of justice. He is your host, Justice.
Welcome to the halls of justice. Glad to have you along tonight. And if tonight is the first night you're tuning in, then you are in for a great time. I've always been interested in the paranormal. I've always had an interest towards ghosts. And on the phone line, we have one of the founding members of a group that's kind of local in our area. It's the Tri-C Ghost Hunters. And want to welcome Greg. Greg, I'm going to butcher your last name, so I'm just going to ask you it.
Okay, the name's Greg Feketik. Everybody butchers it, so don't
Greg
feel
Feketik.
bad.
And he's with, as I said, he is with the Tri-C Ghost Hunters. And Greg, before we get into the Tri-C group itself, why don't we get a little on your background? Tell me what you did and how you were drawn to this field.
Okay. Well, I grew up here in Northeast Ohio, Twinsburg to be exact. Had a normal childhood, but I was really interested in anything unknown. Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster, UFOs were my big ones. Bermuda Triangle. I mean, anything that was unknown, I just loved reading about it. Of course, growing up in the 60s and 70s, we had no internet, so you had to read books, which I read a lot of. When I got older, got my dream job in the city that I grew up in. I was a police officer in Twinsburg for 29 years, retiring in 2011. And let me tell you, retirement's been great. I'm more busier now than when I was working.
Busier with these investigations?
Oh, busy with the Tri-C Ghost Hunters. For me, being retired, this has turned into almost a full-time job. A non-paying job, but a full-time job.
Yeah. Now, while you were a police officer, obviously you had to investigate crimes and complaints. So did that background help you as you transitioned into these kind of investigations?
Yeah, being a police officer, I mean, you have to deal with facts. You really can't take sides. You just have to gather up all the evidence and information that you can. And that's how I go into an investigation. When we have a client, when they tell me what's going on, I take the facts down, and when we go do either a pre-investigation or an investigation, anything that they told me, we try to figure out logical explanations first before we even think paranormal. Okay. So a lot of this, there are logical explanations.
So you go through an investigation, and is it pretty much anything that can't logically be answered is paranormal? Or are there other things that we need to consider before? I would have to say before you slap that big paranormal label on something, that something really has to be out of the ordinary. Right.
I mean, when we do a private home business, sometimes we can't come up with a logical explanation at the time. But at the same time, too, we may not have captured any evidence whatsoever. So we cannot label anything haunted or paranormal. The only way that we would do that is if we actually captured evidence on our own that we had no explanation for.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about the group now, the Tri-C Ghost Hunters. Where do you operate out of? Where do you travel to? And maybe a little bit on some of the other members of your team.
Okay. Well, we were formed, back in 2013. So we've been in existence a little over 4 years now, not 14. I've been on a paranormal team since 2005, and a bunch of members that were on that team, we decided to form our own group. In January of 2013, we came up with Tri-C Ghost Hunters. And the reason why we call ourselves Tri-C Ghost Hunters is 3 C's. We have a team in Cleveland, Ohio, we have a team in Canton, Ohio, and we have a team in Columbus, Ohio. So we cover the whole state of Ohio, and on occasion we have traveled outside of the state. Go ahead.
Which office are you currently located out of?
I'm located out of the Cleveland office. My wife and I are lead investigators for our Cleveland team.
Okay. So if I have something that I can't figure out what it is, and I give you a call, what's the first thing that happens when I call your number?
Okay, if you call my number or send me an email through our website, which is www.tcghohio.org, the first thing that I will do, I will call you back as soon as I can. I've called people back within 10 minutes after getting the email. That's we take pride on that. At least I do. I mean, you have people that are coming to you for a problem, and I don't want them to wait a week, so I contact them as soon as I can. I'll do a phone interview with them over the phone. Ask a bunch of specific questions, what's going on, and there have been some occasions where you could just figure out what's going on just by talking with them on the phone.
Okay, so you do a questionnaire, and they've got to get past the questionnaire kind of thing in order for you to go out for an actual on-scene investigation.
Right, and if they are close enough, we will travel and do what we call a pre-investigation. One or two of us, let me backtrack. Never one. Either 2 or 3 of us will go to the house or business, and we will conduct another interview, and we'll get a feel of the house. We will take readings inside the house, EMF readings to be specific, which checks the electromagnetic field in the air there. And sometimes we can determine if it's an electrical problem going on that may be causing some of the experiences that our clients are having. And based on the pre-investigation, we will determine if it warrants a full investigation. And right now, pretty much 90% of the time when we go to a pre-investigation, we can determine what's going on without doing a full-blown investigation.
And
all right, go ahead.
Once you determine it needs a full-blown investigation, then where do you go?
Well, we will set up an investigation, and this time we will come back with 4 to 6 investigators, and we will bring pretty much all of our equipment. Every investigator has their own equipment, which is an array of audio recorders, digital cameras, video cameras, DVR systems, EMF detectors. We have a FLIR thermal imager and a bunch of other minor equipment too. And we will just go to that residence or business and see what we can come up with. I mean, sometimes, an investigation will only last 4 hours, depending on the size or what's going on there or any other things that may be happening. And it could go all night. So with that being said, a lot of times we don't have any activity going on. Sometimes we do. After the investigation, now we have to review all our audio, video, photographs. And sometimes when we review that, we will get evidence that we can bring back to the client. And when I say evidence, most of the evidence that we do capture are on video or audio recorders called EVPs, electronic voice phenomenon. And what that is, that's voices that are captured on those devices that you did not hear at the time. And some of those voices are pretty amazing.
Now, you said you have up to 6 investigators go. So obviously you can handle anything from a smaller house. But what is the biggest venue you've been able to cover?
Well, we've done a lot of big ones. I mean, most of them are what we call our fun private investigations. We did do a large museum down in West Virginia where we were called in to investigate, but the majority of them are, what we call, like I said, are fun investigations. Places like Mansfield Reformatory, Moundsville Penitentiary, Waverly Hills, down in Louisville, Kentucky, Collingwood Arts Center in Toledo. So, and then, I mean, we'll bring 15, 20 people when we go to those.
And
but,
is everybody on the same page then? Y'all are tied in together, or are you working with investigators from other groups? At that point, everybody's got their own specific agenda or area to investigate.
Well, when we do one of those big investigations, we will invite other teams, family, friends. It's not where we're going there to try to help figure out what's going on at the location, because I mean, these are famous haunted locations, and they've been investigated, every week for, the past, 10, 15, 20 years. So a lot of times we will go there just to keep sharp on our skills and, to just have fun while doing it, because we do take the private homes and private businesses very seriously. Sometimes it's nice to just go out and, have a good time, no pressure, because when we do a private home or a business, you have to go over the evidence. I mean, you have to. And we write a written report, from the time we get there to the time we leave. There's a written report. We even do a diagram of the location. So there's a lot of work going into a private home or business where it's just nice going to someplace like, Mansfield Reformatory.
Right. So if I'm following along, you have your pre-investigation, then your investigation, and then you have your review. I guess that would be your post-investigation. And after you get done with your review, then you've got to call the business owner or the homeowner and present your evidence to them.
Right. Now, if we did not capture anything, a lot of times I'll just talk with them on the phone. We didn't capture anything, and I will mail them the report. If we did capture something, we will go meet with them and present the evidence that we have captured.
Okay. So right now we're just getting into how the investigation happens with the Tri-C Ghost Hunters, and a little bit of the background with the investigators and Greg Feketik. And we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some actual cases that he's had, some of the more memorable ones, and we'll see what we can come up with. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Would you like to be a sponsor or advertise on the Halls of Justice? Email us today at hallsofjustice@roadrunner.com. That's Halls of Justice, spelled Justus, at roadrunner.com. If you have a show idea or like to be a guest, you can email us as well at hallsofjustice@roadrunner.com.
Are you getting married or know somebody that is? Do you need a DJ for your party special event? Well, Music Masters Entertainment. Music Masters Entertainment has been in business since 1984 and have performed at hundreds of weddings. Music Masters Entertainment offers the complete sound and light show. They will MC your wedding reception, birthday party, class reunion, or whatever your needs are. Music Masters Entertainment. Look them up online at musicmastersentertainment.com. And that's music with a K, MUSIK MASTERS, musicmasters.com. Or you can find them on Facebook at www.facebook.com/musicmasters. Music Masters has 3 packages and can fit anybody's budget. Music Masters Entertainment. Let them provide a musical atmosphere for your wedding, reception, or any special event.
This is the Halls of Justice. He is your host, Justus.
And welcome back to the Halls of Justice. We're talking with a real-life ghost hunter tonight, Greg Feketik from the Tri-C Ghost Hunters. We left off, we were talking about how the investigation would go down, should you contact them. But now, this is my favorite part. This is what draws me in. I want to hear about some firsthand experiences. I want to hear about some cases where you've caught things on tape or on video. Maybe somebody got pushed. What do you got for us, Greg? What one comes to your mind?
Well, it's funny that you said, where somebody got pushed, because that's one of the ones I was going to talk about. This one happened to me. It's probably about back in 2006 when I was with another team. We did this was just a fun investigation. We did an outdoor investigation at a place called Signal Tree down near Akron. It's part of the Cascade Valley Metro Parks. What it is a Native American tree. It's an oak tree, but it has 3 trunks. The theory is that Native Americans, when this tree was a sapling, they manipulated the trunk so it would have 3 trunks. So they used it as sort of a road map. Well, anyways, to make a long story short, members of the team were investigating, and I was videotaping. My wife was investigating at the time, and she got the impression of this, not impression, it was a vision of a Native American standing there. And basically, she said, if you're the one haunting this location, can you shove one of us? And immediately I went flying. There was this great big pressure in the middle of my back, and it just forcefully pushed me down this path where I was standing. I mean, that was the most amazing thing that's happened to me. Never been pushed since. I had no explanation for that. There was actually a park ranger and my daughter who were watching the proceedings, and my daughter says, like, one of the funniest things that she ever saw, because I was like sliding down this path, but my feet were not moving.
Okay, so a couple questions come to mind on that. Number one, your wife said she had a vision. Is she a medium, or is it something that comes to her sometimes, or is it something that she thinks she physically saw there?
No, it's not anything she physically saw. It's just that when they were investigating, she's turning into like a sensitive. So she can have feelings and sort of see things. She's not like a psychic or medium. But, she felt the presence and saw him in her mind. Saw him in her mind. And basically, she said, if you're haunting this area, can you shove one of us? Now, the logical side of me is like, she did it with her mind with psychokinetic energy. That's the first thing that I thought of. But who knows? I mean, it was very, very strange. And I've never had a feeling like that.
Was it cold? Was it like a cold touch on you, or you didn't? It was just like a ball of energy or a big push, just shoved you.
It was like a big push. I mean, there wasn't. I mean, I had clothes on and a jacket, so I was dressed a little bit warm. It wasn't too cold, but it's not like I had a T-shirt on in the summer. But no, I just felt this great big pressure just all throughout my back, and it was hard to explain. sometimes I think about it, and it's like, wow.
Now, when that happens to you, do you get the feeling that the spirit has bad intentions because he actually pushed you, or maybe there's no bad intentions there and it was responding to a request from your wife to make itself known?
Well, that's what I think. I think my wife had bad intentions. No, I'm just kidding. No, a lot of the times, too, we've had investigators touched, scratched, stuff like that, but we don't think it's bad intention. We think they're just trying to make their presence known through any means possible. Same here. I mean, my wife told it to shove one of us. I don't think there was any bad intention. If there was anything there, he was just doing what she asked him to do.
Yeah.
And I've never come across anything where we thought was evil or any bad intention.
Did you try any other commands that night, or had you had enough at that point?
No, it was pretty much toward the end of the evening. So it was just amazing, and, we didn't really try anything else. So,
okay.
we just went on. They just chalked it up to like, wow. I mean, we did, continue asking questions, but
that night, did you catch any EVPs?
We did not catch any EVPs. We did catch some weird photographs, though.
Okay.
And I do presentations throughout the area too, mostly at local libraries, and I present our photographs there. And the thing about photographs is, now during my investigations, I've been on over 180 investigations, and during those 180 investigations, I personally have taken between 20 and 25,000 photographs. And out of those photographs, I only have 12 that I would consider to be paranormal. So you do not get a lot of paranormal stuff in photographs.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of people that do believe they get stuff in photographs, but when I see them, there's a lot of logical explanations. But that's another story.
Now, what is the most common complaint that you get when people call you up? Is it my lights are turning on and off, or is it more of the I hear noises, or do people just come out and say, I feel something and it just doesn't feel quite right here?
We do have a lot of that, where people I just don't like it here. I don't like it in the basement. A lot of electrical stuff. The lights keep blowing. I don't have an explanation. The TV will turn on or off on its own. And then you do get the usual ones, where they have seen an apparition, or the doors are shutting or, closing. But most of the time, it's just feelings that they have.
Okay. Now, when we're talking about ghosts, do you get the feeling that maybe there's a couple different kinds of ghosts? Well, first off, let me ask you, do you believe in ghosts?
And the truth is, I don't know. I have a lot of experiences, a lot of stuff I can't explain. But my question is it a ghost? And most people accept the definition of a ghost is somebody who has returned from the other side. I don't know if I believe in them. I've never seen one. And when we say ghost, we're not talking about, like Casper or anything like that.
Right.
When most people see a quote unquote ghost, it's pretty much like a full body apparition, which is solid, just like looks like a regular person standing there.
Yeah. Well, I guess what I'm getting at is, do you think that these apparitions or entities are capable of interacting with people in the present here and now, or do you think that maybe that they haven't transitioned, or do you think they're like a repeating? You know, I see the Headless Horseman come down this trail every Wednesday.
Yes, that is. Well, there's two basic kinds of haunting, and what you described as the Headless Horseman is the residual haunting. It means it's just like a tape recorder that plays over and over. There's no interaction with you. You can't tell them to leave. You can't tell them to stop. It's just going to keep happening. The other one is an intelligent haunting. That means they will interact with you. And to answer your question, yes, they can. Or something does. Because some of the EVPs we have are direct responses to questions that you have no explanation. I mean, you know, there's some people who believe, well, you know, the voices that you capture are just voices through the airwaves, you know, everything, you know, radio and cell phones, and that's what you're capturing.
Right.
I'll give you an example. We were at Mansfield Reformatory. A couple investigators were investigating the old library. One of them goes, sees a counter, sees an old phone book sitting on the counter, and she says, "What is this?" Another investigator walks over, and he looks at it. He goes, "Oh, looks like an old phone book." Well, upon review of that audio, there's another voice in there. Right after she says, "What is this?" there's a voice that says, "Library." Now, how do you explain that coming through the airwaves? Right after she asks the question, "What is this?" they're in the library, and you get a third voice that says "Library."
Yeah. No, I'd love to hear that.
Yeah.
Do you guys store those on tape, or what do you do with your EVPs after the investigations?
I've got files and files and files, and right now I keep them all on the computer or in files, and like all of our evidence is part of our presentations that we do. So people do, you know, have the opportunity to hear and see our evidence. Right now, I don't put them on the website, and I don't post them, you know, on Facebook or any place like that. It's just, you know, with social media, no matter what you put, people are going to be like, well, it's that, and I just don't like the drama.
Yeah. I could relate a little story along those lines is when my wife was going to college, she took one of those little pocket recorders to record the lectures. And she's listening back to the teacher giving a lecture, and she's writing her notes down. And then all of a sudden, in the clearest voice ever, you hear a male voice whisper her name. And she asked if I had done it somehow, and I'm like, you know, I don't have access to your tape recorder, and I don't know how I could insert my voice on there. But there were no guys that sat anywhere around her. It was predominantly a class of all women, and clear as day, you could hear her name being whispered on the cassette tape.
Oh yeah, it's pretty amazing.
So I am a firm believer of EVPs.
They happen. I don't care what anybody says. They happen. That's the most evidence that we capture. And I know a lot of paranormal teams, and they mostly capture EVPs also.
Now, have you gotten any good video footage? You know, everybody has seen the show Ghost Hunters. I mean, anybody who's remotely interested in this field has seen the show. And, you know, I have to admit that I used to watch it from beginning to end, but now I would watch the beginning and I'd skim through the investigation to the reveal because I wanted to see the evidence they caught.
Right.
You know, and sometimes I can't explain it at all. They've had glasses break in a hotel room with nobody around. Have you caught anything like that?
You know what? We haven't. The closest thing that we've captured was an investigation down in West Virginia. we think we may have captured an apparition. It looks like a figure walking across the top of stairs, a landing of the stairs, and it looks like it goes into a wall, which we cannot explain. Tried, fake, maybe it was a flashlight or a camera flash, but I reviewed all the video, and there isn't anything like that in the video. And, I've had people say, well, it's just pixelation. Well, okay, if it's pixelation, it looks like a man walking, out of this 8 hours of video, how come that's the only time that happened?
Right.
So that was the craziest.
Do you ever do a quick review if you think you caught something? Do you ever do a quick review then, or even if okay, so then you do a quick review, then do you go back and try to recreate it just to debunk it?
Yes. We always do that, especially with photographs. You take a couple photographs and you have something in there. And then, we've spent, 15, 20 minutes trying to debunk photographs. And I've done that too. And that's the nice thing about the digital cameras, because you got the photo right there. You don't have to wait for it to be developed. So if you get something weird, you can check it out.
Right.
See if you can recreate it.
Yeah.
So, sometimes it's like, when you set up stationary video cameras that are running all night by themselves, obviously you can't do that. Yeah. But you mostly can do it with audio and photographs.
Okay. We're talking with a real-life ghost hunter, Greg Feketik from Tri-C Ghost Hunters. It's the Halls of Justice. We got to take a short break, and we're going to be right back. We're going to talk more in just a few minutes.
This is the Halls of Justice.
Are you getting married or know somebody that is? Do you need a DJ for your party special event? Well, Music Masters Entertainment. Music Masters Entertainment has been in business since 1984 and have performed at hundreds of weddings. Music Masters Entertainment offers the complete sound and light show. They will MC your wedding reception, birthday party, class reunion, or whatever your needs are. Music Masters Entertainment. Look them up online at musicmastersentertainment.com. And that's music with a K. MUSIKMASTERS. musicmasters.com. Or you can find them on Facebook at www.facebook.com/musicmasters. Music Masters has 3 packages and can fit anybody's budget. Music Masters Entertainment. Let them provide a musical atmosphere for your wedding, reception, or any special event.
Would you like to be a sponsor or advertise on the Halls of Justice? Email us today at hallsofjustice@roadrunner.com. That's Halls of Justice, spelled JUSTUS, at roadrunner.com. If you have a show idea or like to be a guest, you can email us as well at hallsofjustice@roadrunner.com. This is the Halls of Justice. He is your host, Justice.
And welcome back to the Halls of Justice. We're talking ghosts tonight. I hope it's making your skin crawl just a little bit. Greg Feketik from the Tri-C Ghost Hunters is here with us tonight. And Greg, before we go any further, you told me you've got a book out, so I want to hear about your book.
Okay. Well, actually, I've got, I guess you could say 2.5 books.
Okay.
And working on another one. What was it? Fall of 2015, I published my first book. It's called Insights into the Unknown, A Ghost Hunter's Journey. And there's some of the cases that I've talked about tonight. Have I? No, I don't think I've talked about any of the cases in this book. But there's probably about 10 different cases in the book that I have personally experienced. These are not a collection of other people's stories. These are all my stories.
Okay.
So it's you can get it on Amazon. Insights into the Unknown, A Ghost Hunter's Journey. And I sell them at the public libraries around here when we're doing presentations or any conventions that I'm at. Also have me and another investigator have a chapter in another book, which is called Amazing Paranormal Encounters Volume 3. We have a chapter on the old St. Joseph Hospital in Lorraine. We have a chapter in that book. There's another book coming out, Amazing Paranormal Encounters Volume 4, which should be coming out, I think, this month, February, where I have a story about a house I owned and lived in Maple Heights that is haunted. And I am still working on my other book that hopefully I'll get that finished sometime soon.
Yeah. If this is something that piques your interest out there, be sure you get to Amazon. Insights into the Unknown is your book alone, your own investigations, and the other ones are the Amazing Paranormal Encounters.
Correct. Now,
the old St. Joe's Hospital, I grew up in the area, and I remember driving by that probably hundreds of times. And that's just was a very old building, and it was kind of creepy looking from the outside. But now you guys have a whole thing going there. You're doing ghost tours, right?
Well, yeah, what we do, and it's unfortunate that the old section of the building is torn down.
Right.
But that was just a small building, and even if it was still up, it was pretty much run down, and I pretty much condemned. And I think that's the main reason why they tore that one down. But anyways, the rest of the St. Joseph Hospital has been pretty much abandoned and vacant since 1997. Last year, no, 2015, November 2015, we were able to get in there, Tri-C Ghost Hunters, to do a private investigation. And to make a long story short, right now we offer public ghost hunts and private ghost hunts at the hospital for a fee. The director of the board who owns the hospital, he allows us to do these. And the reason that he loves us doing them is that the money collected gets donated to charity. As an example, we had a private ghost hunt there this past Saturday night. Place was off the wall, crazy activity. But because of that private ghost hunt with only 24 people, we were able to donate $1,000 to a charity, a local charity in Lorraine.
Well, that is great news.
Last year doing the hospital, we raised over $7,300 that was donated to charity. This year, we are also doing, in May 20th and 21st, we are doing the Old St. Joseph Hospital Psychic and Paranormal Fair. It'll be Saturday and Sunday event at the hospital. We have 38 vendors there. We have psychics. We even have a pet psychic. We've got Reiki masters, healers. We've got a couple food vendors, paranormal teams. There's a lot going on there. There's a ghost hunt, public ghost hunt that Saturday night. And we are trying to raise between $4,000 and $5,000. And admission is free. People can, if they want to do a cash donation, a couple bucks, $5 at the door to help out the charities, that's fine. We're also doing a food drive, so people, can bring a non-perishable food item. We are going to donate the food to the Second Harvest Food Bank in Lorain County. We're also going to have some raffles, and it's going to be a fun time. Hopefully, we're trying to get the word out there. We want a lot of people to come in because obviously we want our vendors to make some money. We will be doing daytime private tours of the hospital for, like $5 a person. There again, all that money will be going to charity because there's some people who don't like to be in the hospital at night. So during the daytime, we can take them through the paranormal tour of the hospital during the daytime.
Now that's on May 20th and 21st, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And we've got some Reiki masters coming up from Tennessee. We've got an author, Mark Nesbitt from Gettysburg. For those people who are in the paranormal, you may have heard of Mark Nesbitt. He's been on all the paranormal TV shows when the teams go to Gettysburg. He runs the Ghosts of Gettysburg headquarters out there. And he's written like 25 books on the battlefield and ghosts. So he's very popular, and he's coming back home. He's originally from Lorraine. So it's going to be great to have him here.
Well, people can contact you if they want to go on the private tours or the public tours, or for the public tours, they just show up.
For any of the tours, go through www.tcghohio.org. On our main page, on the left, you'll see a menu item that says St. Joseph Hospital Private Ghost Hunts. So all you do is just go in there. You get like 15 friends. You can book the hospital and have it to yourself for the whole night. We do public ghost hunts every once in a while, and we usually put those up on Facebook and on our website. But if you want to do the public ghost hunt on May 20th, there again, go to that website I gave you. On the home page, there'll be a portal that'll take you to the St. Joseph Psychic and Paranormal Fair. Go to that page, scroll a little ways down, and you'll see the information on the ghost hunt that night, and you can purchase your tickets right there.
And I'm guessing dress for the weather?
This is going to be in May, so it's going to be, it should be pretty decent. I mean, we were there Saturday night, and what was the temperature outside? About 25. And it wasn't really bad in the hospital. I mean, I'm a volunteer at Mansfield Reformatory, and I was there last Tuesday. Oh, my God. It was way more colder at the Reformatory than it was at the hospital.
Yeah.
And it's funny because the team that we had up at the hospital Saturday night were the volunteers from Mansfield Reformatory.
Now, let's get back into some stories. Let's get into the bread and butter. You go on these investigations. I like to call them ghost hunts. And, I'm not sure I could do that job just because I think I would get a little spooked. But why don't you tell us about another good one you had?
Well, a good one is the hospital. That, the place is creepy, at night. And, Saturday night was no exception. People were seeing a lot of shadow people, a lot of doors slamming, where there was nobody at. But there's a lot of that stuff going on. But one of the most, I guess, lack of a better term, scariest places that we've ever had, where we have some crazy stuff going on, is a place called the Rhodes Hotel in Atlanta, Indiana. We were there twice this past summer. The first time we were there, it was, man, that was crazy that night. I was in, now the Rhodes Hotel, it used to be a hotel. It was actually built as a hotel. And I'm trying to think when it was built. Was it like 1897, 1902? I mean, it was very old, and that's what it originally was. And, during the 20s and 30s, it was like a brothel and speakeasy, a lot of assaults and a couple suicides and, shootings and stuff like that. It was not a fun place, depending on whose side you're coming up, from. But I went into this one bedroom. It has 8 bedrooms, and you can actually rent the hotel for the whole weekend. So that's what we did. And they have 8 bedrooms up on the second floor, and then there's an attic above that. I was going into one of the bedrooms at the front of the hotel, and as I was coming out, it felt like I got stabbed in my throat.
Oh.
I mean, my throat started burning. I mean, the whole throat. It started burning, and I screamed out in pain. And my wife comes running, and I'm like sitting there holding my throat. She's like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" I'm like, it felt like I just got stabbed. And after a few minutes, the pain subsided, and everything was great. It sounds funny. Great, everything was great. But later on, we went up into the attic. There was a preacher who hung himself up there. He was visiting the brothel and doing things that he shouldn't have been doing. So, feeling guilty about it, he went up and hung himself. So we were up in the attic. There was myself, my wife, 2 other investigators, and Todd, one of the other investigators, co-founders of our team. And it was kind of crazy because you could hear things walking around you. And my wife was standing right next to me, and she kept hearing stuff behind her, and she kept feeling something standing behind her. Mm. And then all of a sudden she started saying, "My chest is hurting." Well, she got it out before I did because I was going to say the same thing. My chest just started, I got the sharp pain in the middle of my chest. She got the sharp pain in the middle of her chest. Investigator standing next to her got a sharp pain in the middle of her chest, which was just crazy. All at the same time.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, my wife's like, "Whatever's here, it's right behind me. It's right behind me. I can feel it breathing." And we actually did capture some heavy breathing on our audio equipment, something that was breathing heavily.
Yeah.
The next thing we knew, she let out a scream. She let out a scream. She yelled at me. She's like, "Did you touch me? Did you touch me?" And I'm like, "No." My hands were full with a EMF detector and a camera. But she said that something forcefully, she could feel the fingers in the hand grab her shoulder and push down on her shoulder. And right after she screamed, Todd, who was across from her, felt something rush right through him.
Mm. Now, how can you say that doesn't have bad intentions? I'm thinking if I feel a stabbing sensation in my chest and 3 other people are, I know we talked about this earlier, but to me, that says get out.
Now I've got another explanation for that. I think it was residual. I think maybe somebody did get stabbed there when I was walking out, and I was just feeling what they felt. I know people are going to say, "Oh, you're freaking crazy," and you should have got out of there. No, that's what I thought at the time. And the second time we went there, it was just as crazy because when we went the second time, my wife decided she wanted that room that I got stabbed in. And I'm like, "Oh, great. Now I'm going to be sleeping in this room." Oh, yeah. Well, I got stabbed again. In the middle of the night. No, this time it was on the side. It was while I was sleeping. I'm laying in bed. All of a sudden I feel this sharp stabbing pain on my right side. And it's like, "Ooh, gosh, I felt like I just got stabbed again." That happened the first night, and there again, it just went away. And the second night, when I went to bed, I begged. I said, "Please don't stab me anymore." And they didn't. I don't know if it was actually a stab or, if they were trying to make contact with me or if it was still residual. All I can say, it did happen. It's crazy at the time. For me, it doesn't deter me.
Now, do you check for marks when this stuff happens?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Anything?
Yeah. And you know, no, I did not have anything, and some of our investigators have had scratches on them. But you know, and people are going to say, "Well, you're freaking crazy." Of course, they're trying to hurt you. Well, no, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I mean, maybe the one, you know, was residual. The second time, you know, maybe she was trying to get my attention, and maybe it wasn't a knife. Maybe it was just her touching me, and that's just what I experienced and felt.
Now, have you ever had any cases where you actually thought that maybe this is something with, I mean, really evil intentions, like something demonic?
No. And a lot of our clients, when they first contact us, that's what they believe. And you know why they believe that?
They've seen it on TV.
On TV and in the movies.
Yeah.
Everything in the movies is demonic and evil. So that's what they believe. A lot of people believe, you know, the movies that they see are true.
Yeah.
You know, they're not. I mean, as an example, you know, you say a Ouija board now. It's like, ooh, that's a bad thing. You know, stay away from them. Don't do this. Don't do that. Well, Ouija boards weren't considered bad until the movie The Exorcist came out. Since then, people were like, oh, you got to stay away from Ouija boards. But my thing is it any different than, okay, you got, you know, at least two people sitting around the board with their hands on the planchette, you know, asking questions. Is that any different than us sitting around and asking questions of the same things? Or is it any different than a, you know, paranormal team that may do a seance or something like that?
Yeah,
you know,
I don't know. I guess I'm on the side that may be a gateway that could possibly open a door that I don't want to open.
Right, and here's the thing. If that was a gateway, it would be a gateway almost every time you used it. And I've used it before when I was a kid. I've even used it when I was an adult. Never, I haven't opened up any doors. And I'm sure there's millions of people who haven't opened up any doors. It's a game. I mean, it's a talking board game. And, you know, subconsciously the people are moving it. It's not demons or anything like that. Now I know people are gonna, you know, there's gonna be people who don't agree with me, and that's fine. But you know, I've been doing this a long time. I've never come across demons or anything like that. Even though we've had a lot of people that claimed they were. I've had people, but they were selling their house because they thought there were demons inside. That's one of those cases where we went in for a pre-investigation, and we're like, "Ma'am, there's nothing going on here. You got dead bees in the basement because you got a bee's nest under your siding." You know, it's
yeah.
You know, and that's how it is. But you know, people got to remember, it wasn't evil until the movie The Exorcist came out. And what was The Exorcist about? Using a Ouija board, opening a door, and bringing a demon and possessing Reagan.
Yeah. Now, do you find that areas that have had sudden tragedies, suicides, hangings, the battlefields, do you find those are more prevalent in the cases of paranormal events as opposed to just regular houses?
Battlefields, yeah. You know, Gettysburg is probably one of the most haunted places on Earth. But now I've also investigated places where there have been suicides, and we haven't captured anything. Sometimes, you know, places are haunted, excuse me, too, not because there was a murder there or there was, you know, a suicide, but the past. You know, what was that land in the past? You know, could it have been, you know, built on, you know, Indian land? Native Americans, you know, were very, you know, spiritual. And they that's Signal Tree. It was really haunted because it was Native American land. Cuyahoga Valley, that was all Native American land, and that's up and down the Cuyahoga Valley. There's a lot of haunted locations there.
Yeah.
You know what?
Go ahead.
They do say that. Yeah, places of tragic. It's more ripe for paranormal activity, a haunting. So yes.
Have you ever had the opportunity to go to the Stanley Hotel?
Oh yes.
And what did you find there?
Well, we stayed. For those people who watch Ghost Hunters, we stayed in the exact same room that Jason Hawes stayed in. Excuse me. And we did capture an EVP in that room, but didn't capture anything else. And the Stanley Hotel was great. They gave us access to, and it was just my wife and I, my son and my sister, and they gave us access to the whole place. I mean, we were able to go down the basement, locked rooms, locked ballrooms, just anywhere. So it was a really, really great place.
That was wasn't that the backdrop for the Shining movie?
Well, the Stephen King actually got the inspiration from the Stanley.
Okay.
But now, if people want to see the Stanley Hotel, watch the original Dumb and Dumber. That was filmed at the Stanley Hotel.
All right, very good. We're just about out of time here. Let's go ahead and talk about your books again real quick. The one that you investigated all by yourself, Insights into the Unknown.
Ghost Hunter's Journey.
And
on Amazon.
And then you're involved in a couple others, and you're writing another one on your own, right?
Yes, I am.
Do you have a working title on that one yet?
That one is, right now, Roads into the Unknown. Ghost Hunter's Journey continues.
Very good. Well, if people are in the area, and we're kind of based in the area, head on out to your website, check in on the stuff that's going to be taking place over at the old St. Joe's in Lorraine, Broadway and 21st Street.
Mm-hmm.
And they can also get in touch with you through the email on your website. You want to give that out one more time?
Well, they can send me a personal email, G-E Feketik. I'll spell that Feketik @gmail.com. Or they can submit any questions they want to through our website. We have a contact us form on there where they can just fill it out and submit it, and that will come to me also.
Well, perfect. Greg, I want to thank you for coming on. I want to wish you happy hunting, and we'll be in touch with you in the future to check in on some upcoming investigations you have going on. And if we have any questions on the paranormal, then you'll be our go-to guy. How's that sound?
That sounds great, and I appreciate you having me on the show, Larry.
All righty. Thank you. Greg Feketik from the Tri-C Ghost Hunters right here on the Halls of Justice. We'll be right back.
Would you like to be a sponsor or advertise on the Halls of Justice? Email us today at hallsofjustice@roadrunner.com. That's Halls of Justice, spelled Justus at roadrunner.com. If you have a show idea or like to be a guest, you can email us as well at hallsofjustice@roadrunner.com.
All righty. Hey, thanks, everybody, for tuning in this week to the Halls of Justice. I am your host, Justus. Thanks a lot to Greg for coming on, the Tri-C Ghost Investigators. Remember, if you would like to be a guest, are you in the paranormal? Shoot me an email, hallsofjustice@roadrunner.com.
Our podcast is now available on iTunes, Spreaker, YouTube, and many other outlets. It's the Halls of Justice. We'll see you again next Friday night, everybody. Have a good one.
This is the Halls of Justice.